A major decision for the future of healthcare reform in America. The Obama administration delays a key provision that will have a big effect on businesses across the nation. Today we're talking with a small business leader about what that means for you and the economy. Plus, our political insiders debate. It's all coming up on this edition of Indianapolis This Week.
From RTV6, Indianapolis This Week.
Welcome to Indianapolis This Week. I'm Rafael Sanchez. Businesses are getting a brief break from a controversial law. The federal government is delaying until 2015 what was going to happen in about 5 months. Businesses will now have an extra year to provide workers insurance as required by the Affordable Care Act. The Treasury Department says the delay is in response to concerns about the complexity of the reporting requirements for employers. The additional year is intended to allow the government to look for ways to simplify that reporting process. Now, under the federal care reform law, businesses employing more than 50 full-time people that don't provide workers health insurance will be penalized at some point. Those penalties will now begin in 2015 after next year's congressional elections. Joining us now, Barbara Quant, the Indiana State Director of the National Federation of Independent Businesses. What will this mean for small businesses throughout Indiana, this delay?
Well, it'll mean a temporary delay in compliance with the law. Unfortunately, it's going to be small consolation because the uncertainty still will exist.
Is the NFIB against insurance or against the way this is being delivered?
Against the way it's being delivered. We definitely support health insurance for our employees. It's been the #1 issue for our small business owners since the last 30 years. And I was a small business owner myself, and for over 20 years, that was a very difficult issue for us. Being able to afford health insurance for both our families and the people we employ.
We just saw the latest job numbers come out, and we did see some growth that was reported on Friday. But we also saw a survey from the NFIB which shows that a lot of the small businesses are not either hiring people or they're actually firing people in fear of what may come later in a year and a half.
Yes, that level of uncertainty is critical to job creation or the prevention of job creation. People are holding back. They don't know what their health care costs are going to be. They don't know what their tax burden is going to be. And so this is reflected in the surveys that we find. And we've been conducting these, excuse me, for over 30 years.
So what would you like to see as we sort of wait it out, right, a year and a half, where things are going to just maybe cool down? What would you like to see the administration come back with? Because we are expecting some sort of interim guidelines sometime next week.
Well, the one thing that the Affordable Care Act, which is kind of funny the way it was named, because it really hasn't done anything to address cost and make it affordable. Costs have been skyrocketing. Premiums are going up. There's a new health insurance tax called the HIT that's going to go into effect no matter what happens. Even with this delay, it goes into effect on January 1st, and that's going to affect every employee. And it's going to cost employers $500 per employee, in addition to the increases they're already seeing.
And we should talk about some of the penalties that are being talked about could be up to $3,000 per employee, and many businesses are now trying to figure out, do I offer the insurance or do I just go ahead and pay the penalty?
Yeah,
which is cheaper, right? And
that's really kind of sad when you think about it, because most small businesses treat their employees like family, and so they want to be able to provide insurance, and for them to say, you know, I can't afford it. I can't afford to do it because it keeps going up.
This is what your national organization had to say about this sort of temporary delay by the president. This is simply the latest evidence that implementation of this, their words, this terrible law is going to be difficult, if not impossible, and the burden is going to fall on the people who create American jobs. A temporary relief is a small consolation. We need a permanent fix to this provision to provide long-term relief for small employers. And you stand by that.
Oh, yeah.
Now, that was the national office speaking about this, but you're seeing this on the ground as well.
Oh, yes. I see it every day. I talk to small businesses, and they're really struggling with the decision. And so it's going to, unfortunately, we need something permanent, not temporary.
One of the things that this has become a hot political issue. This is what Joe Donnelly, our U.S. Senator, had to say about this very issue this week.
You have people on one side saying, well, we don't want to do anything because then it would be a challenge to the health care bill. Well, our challenge is to fix the health care bill to make it work the best for Americans. And on the other side, you have people who are saying, well, we don't want to do anything to try to help the health care bill because all we want to do is repeal it. Well, that's not the answer either. The answer is to have a health care program that makes sense for Hoosiers and for Americans.
So what is the fix? You heard him saying that something has to be done. You just can't throw this thing out. So what is the solution then?
Well, Senator Donnelly has introduced legislation that would be helpful, for one. It increases the definition of full-time employee from 30 to 40 hours, and we certainly support that because I don't know anyone that considers 30 hours a full-time employee. That 40 hours has been the traditional, and so what you see, and we've seen school systems already saying we're going to have to cut.
In Fort Wayne, for example,
we're going to have to cut people beyond, and small business owners are going to be faced with the same thing. So same kind of decision. So small business owners create 2/3 of the net new jobs in this country traditionally, and so why, if it's something that affects small businesses, we should be paying attention. If we want to create jobs, seems like we're going the other way.
Do you think during this reprieve that we'll see then an increase in job creation, or are businesses still going to be fearful of creating jobs that they'll have to then fire those employees by 2015?
Yeah, yes, that's a
I'm asking the
possibility.
question. Is that
Absolutely,
a possibility?
That's certainly a possibility. And with unemployment costs going up, no wonder they're frozen and not moving.
And my understanding is that the law also makes it very confusing because when we talk about these full-time employees, will a freelancer or will a consultant be considered an employee? The law is not very clear on that either. So while there is a delay on implementation, there's still so many unanswered questions.
Yes, there's so much in flux here, and none of that part of it is good for the economy or for creating jobs.
A debate that will continue. Barbara Quant, thank you so much for coming.
Thank you, Raphael, for having me.
To Indianapolis This Week. We thank you for your time this Sunday. After the break, we continue our conversation on health care. Plus, is the state Republican Party heading in a new direction? And the latest on those job numbers. Don't go away. They're ready to go on this Sunday morning. Joining us now are two of our political insiders, Democrat Kip Tu and the IndyPolitics.org editor, Abdul Hakim Shabazz. Also on weekends on our radio partner, WIBC. You just heard from Barbara Quant. What did you make of her discussion that really the issue of this delay on small businesses is all about cost?
Well, I have sympathy for small business people and what they have to go through to run their businesses. They are the engine of economic growth, but I think just about everything she said about healthcare costs was wrong, unfortunately. The fact of the matter is that since the implementation of most of Obamacare, we've had a stabilization of healthcare costs. The rate of growth of healthcare costs have slowed the most dramatic rate that they have in 40 years. So it's just not factual to say they're skyrocketing. They're not. And in addition to that, another part of Obamacare that said if health insurance companies were not providing 85%, I think, I can't swear to the number, of their money going to pay for health care costs, there had to be a rebate. Hoosiers are getting rebates from their health insurance companies now because of Obamacare. So to say that health care costs are skyrocketing is just not factual.
And a lot of them are going to need that rebate because if you work more 30 hours or less, you're probably going to be out of a job because you're being labeled as a full-time employee under the president's health care plan. We saw numerous school districts across the state of Indiana get impacted. Colleges and universities were getting impacted. Thousands of people were going to lose money, lose jobs because of this implementation. And I will give Joe Donnelly credit for recognizing this early on and saying, hey, Mr. President, 40 hours is full-time, 30 hours is part-time. You start messing around with this, you're going to have a lot of unintended consequences. I think that is what Barbara was talking about. Here's once again another one of these things in the bill that everybody said we had to pass it before we could see what was in it. Well, guess what? This is one of those things that was in it.
I would say, let me say this about it. The employer mandate, people buying insurance through their employers is an issue, and it's a problem, and it's a compromise. That's the problem. People like me and liberals wanted a single-payer system so that you got the employer out of the thing. So the NFIB, the U.S. Chamber of Commerce would not have had a fight about this, but people on the conservative side said that was government takeover. So what do we get? We got what we have, and they're complaining about that. I don't think they have any solution at all to fix the health care problem in the United States. They just want to complain.
No, the solution is to get employers out of the health care business altogether. Don't put a
That's what I just said.
And don't do a single payer system where it's the government running your health care. It's you go get your own health insurance.
There would be
your employer doesn't buy your life insurance. Your employer doesn't buy your car insurance. Watch your employer buy your health insurance.
It doesn't work anywhere else in the world, so it's a non-starter.
If it's not about the cost, is there a level of uncertainty in the system where even the U.S. Treasury is now saying that the rules are too complex about the reporting requirements. So is this going to be a disaster in the sense that not all the rules are clear? There's still a lot of vagueness to the situation?
Well, it's a complex issue. There's no doubt about it. And I think the President and the Treasury Department made the right decision so that people have more time to get adjusted to the health care mandate. I think that there's no doubt about it. It is a big change for folks. And so I agree with that portion. I think it was politically smart. I also think it was good public policy to give people time so that you don't have this mass sort of recorrection all of a sudden. And I think the time is good.
Yeah, but this was passed back in 2009, 2010. It's 2013, get ready to go in 2014. No one figured this out, in the past 2-3 years that, hey, we have a potential disaster coming.
Well, here's the thing. The Republicans have been fighting him tooth and nail for every ounce of implementation of this bill. They've tried to repeal it 37 times, is it? I don't know, 40 times. Every single step of the way, they have been trying to fight and block the implementation, and so that's part of the problem.
Do you think it's political in the sense that this is being delayed a year after the mid-year election?
Yeah, that argument I think is absurd, and he's laughed about it. But the fact
is it absurd?
It is absurd because people are still going to be having to get ready for it as the election nears. He's only doing it 2 months after the election. Almost all the small businesses in the country that are complaining right now are having to be ready for that implementation during the election year. So I don't see how anybody can say with a straight face this was political. It was a decision.
Okay, look at my straight face. This is political because it is.
See, he even smiled when he said it, so it wasn't straight.
Well, no, that was just because I'm sitting next to you. No, it's really simple here. If you're a Democrat, running in the 6th year of a presidential term, which is always a little tricky for the party that's holding the White House, do you really want this issue hanging over your head, particularly when you had a lot of...
It's going to be there anyway.
Particularly when you had a lot of people who used to work part-time, used to work 30 hours a week, now no longer had their hours reduced, so to avoid the employer mandate.
But in fairness to the argument, even though I asked the question, people will begin signing up October 1st, 2013. So going into the election year, I mean, people are going to either be upset or they're going to be happy, right? I mean, so that kind of argument, even though I asked the question, is kind of...
Which brings up another interesting point, which is the Obama administration gives the employers a break, but still puts the regular burden on regular folks. So, like, okay, whose side are you guys on?
Change of topic, since you're both looking at me like I'm a little bit crazy. New leadership for the state Republican Party. Tim Berry, who's currently the state auditor, is now going to become the state chairman. Will we see anything different in tactics, or is he going to have a great job in the fact that the entire state is already red?
No, having spoken to Tim on a number of different occasions, both prior to and after his appointment, one of the things, first of all, he's won 4 statewide elections as auditor and as treasurer. So here's somebody who knows about running a statewide campaign. He also understands that the thing about politics is addition, not subtraction. So I don't think you'll see him going out on a limb making a lot of far-right, kind of crazy type statements. What you will see him do is build on the successes from the last chairman, Eric Holcomb, which is growing the party, solidifying his base and keeping its supermajorities.
I think Tim's a good pick, a surprising pick for this governor. I think it signals probably that he's looking towards Iowa again. He's got somebody in that office that is not going to make waves. Tim will be a good chairman. I think he will build on what Eric Holcomb did. Eric was obviously a very good chairman for the Republican Party. I think Tim will be as well. It was a good pick by the governor.
On Friday, we got new job numbers of 40,000 more jobs than anticipated, 195,000. Are we still talking about the economy? We have not spoken about the economy in several months. So are things good or bad?
Well, the unemployment rate's still too high. I mean, it's 7.6%. More people are entering the workforce as things are getting better. But we've now on average, the last 6 months, created 200,000 jobs a month. So we're moving in the right direction. The president deserves credit for that because these guys wanted to give him blame when it wasn't going that way. We've now had, 50-some straight months of job growth in the country. So the economy's chugging along. It could be better, but it's chugging along.
I will always say some job growth is always better than no job growth, as anemic as a job growth has been. I think what will be interesting is those people who dropped off the radar screens altogether. That's always the tricky question when we look at jobs created. I mean, how many people have just stopped looking for work and just totally disappeared? Or, compared to how many people decided, hey, what, maybe things are getting a little bit better, I'll decide to start looking again. To me, that's the true indication of how well your economy is doing.
If we didn't have sequestration, I think the job growth would be even better. I mean, most of the job loss has been in public sector jobs. jobs. So with private industry, job growth has been very strong and very good, but it's the public sector that's been hurting consistently since sequestration. And I think that's where we're not having the robust growth that we normally had.
So in other words, it's the private sector that should be leading us back to recovery, not the government, is what you're saying.
That's what's happening. No, I said if we didn't have sequestration, we'd have better job growth.
No,
that's not what I said at all.
No, we have just more people on the government dole and more government jobs. I'd much rather be the job creation be in the private sector.
I don't know. We might be investing in infrastructure, which is falling apart all across the country. We might be investing in education. We might be having more cops on the streets so it's safer in the city of Indianapolis. There's a whole lot of things that government workers do.
Or we might have more NSA agents who are monitoring your phone calls and more IRS agents.
You know what? That's the one part of the budget that never gets cut. That's the one part of the budget that never gets cut that you and I can agree may have too much. But we do need more police officers. We need more teachers, and we need more infrastructure. So those are the kind of things that we ought to be investing in.
And knowing how much you both love basketball, what do you both make? Are you guys done? What do you both make of Brad Stevens, the former Butler University coach, now becoming the coach of the Boston Celtics?
I think it's great for Brad Stevens. I think that there's no question he's one of the elite coaches in basketball. I think it's not good for college basketball, and unfortunate to say that. I'm a huge college basketball fan, always have been, but guys jumping around, and, players leaving after a year, now the coaches are going to the ranks. He was one of the bright, shining lights in college basketball, and now he's gone. It's not good for the sport.
Last word.
Anytime you can go from $1 million a year to $22 million a year, hey, more power to you. I'm happy for you.
Hey, I'm going to be shameless to say that the NBA is on ABC.
I love the NBA, too, by the way.
So do we. Stay up to date on our political news anytime by following our insiders, Lara, Jennifer, Kip, and Abdul, on our Capitol Watch blog. You can find the link on our webpage, theindychannel.com. It's a help up and not a handout. The effort now counting on assistance to help with higher education. Indianapolis This Week continues after the break. There's a major effort underway to increase the number of Hoosier Latinos to graduate high school and attend college. To that end, the nonprofit USA Funds and the Central Indiana Community Foundation are hoping to turn the tide. Marlene Dotson joins us with more on an upcoming gala for the Indiana Latino Scholarship Fund. Marlene, welcome to the program. Why do Latinos need their own scholarship fund?
Well, Rafael, it's so important in order for our Indiana to see the increase of graduates in the Latino community for our students is to help our students to succeed. We don't want to see barriers to interrupt them from their academics. So we want, I know financial, it's a great barrier for our Latino students to complete their either college or any higher education institution. So for us, as a Indiana Latino Scholarship, we see the need to help students achieve their dreams to access to higher education.
We should point out that this is a grassroots effort. This is not any government funds. That the group for the last 3 years has raised
6 years. This will be the 6th year.
Last 6 years, you've given out more than $1 million in awards to students.
Yes, absolutely. This is the celebration of the 6th year annual Latino Scholarship Fund. And yes, there's 5 local nonprofit organizations who partner with the U.S. Funds and Central Community Foundation to raise funds to provide a scholarship for Indiana talented students.
And what have you seen as far as the results? Because I know a lot of the young people attend a gala which is held every year. Have those students communicated with you that they've been able to finish their careers or
yes. The 5 organizations who are partnering these efforts is the Indiana Latino Institute, La Plaza, SATCO, Stepping Stone Project, and the Mexican Scholarship Fund. The 5 organizations provide scholarship to students, either those they are in the process of attending college or currently attending college. And yes, we see in these past 6 years students who already complete their degree. Some of them are already working. And yes, these funds have benefited greatly because not only the scholarship these organizations provide, but also programs to support these students, help them coaching in the process while they are in college or while they're intending to go to college.
What do you think is the biggest obstacle for these young people to get to college? Is it an issue of language? Is it economics? What's getting in the way? Because I know the numbers of Latinos percentage-wise in Indiana that graduate from high school is lower than their counterparts, and the number of Latinos going to then college because of that is much lower than their Hoosier counterparts.
Right. It's economics, it's financially, because if you don't have access to financial aid, but some of them don't have access to FAFSA, federal financial aid, of course you have already a barrier there that is going to prevent you to dream even to attend to a 2 years college. So for us as a group, this great initiative, it's so important to assist these talented Indiana Latino students, to help them with financial resources. We believe that if this is a barrier for them, by providing these resources is the only way that we can help them to achieve their dreams.
We should have a big event coming up later this month. The Indiana Latino Scholarship Gala is Friday, July the 19th at 6 p.m. at the Indiana Roof Ballroom. We'll have more information on how you can maybe donate to the cause on the IndyChannel.com. Marlene Dotson, thank you very much. Muchas gracias.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Gracias.
Have a good day today.
Thanks.
When we return, purses, pride, and patriotism. Tomorrow, the Call 6 investigators expose a problem some want to keep under the radar. Experts say counterfeiters are getting so good, it could almost be impossible to tell if a purse is real or fake. That could mean trouble for you, especially if you try to sell a knockoff. A Call 6 investigator, Kara Ketty, found many people are heading to Facebook, but the feds, they're cracking down. Don't miss her special report tomorrow, Monday, at 11. And on this 4th of July weekend, we are grateful for the men and women in uniform around the world serving in the military. This is also a special weekend for more than 100 people who became U.S. citizens in Indiana. They took their oaths at the home of former President Benjamin Harrison in Indianapolis. The group of people came from 39 countries, including India, Mexico, and Nigeria. A day of pride and patriotism for all involved. Congratulations to you all. That's it for this edition of Indianapolis This Week. I'm Rafael Sanchez. Have a great Sunday. And don't forget to join Ruth Smith tonight on the news at 6. Have a good day.